All right, everyone, thank you for joining. I'm calling Aiman, and with me are Ayman and Ayesha. Thank you for being very generous with your time. I know waking up early morning, we are all fasting, but it's okay. I think I will hand the floor to Ayman. If you can talk about her journey, how did she find out about the scholarship? Was it a coincidental? Did your university help with anything? I think we want to share with people the realities of applying to this scholarship. Let's be very real because information is out there about how exactly to navigate and including maybe some inside information that will help women applicants plan their career from here onwards because we all know how tough it is with women. So over to you, Eamon.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Paula, for handing over the floor to me. Those were a lot of questions that came in from your end, but I'll go one by one. So basically, I am a woman in STEM scholar, and I did my master's in electronics and electrical engineering from Durham University. And my bachelor's is from NUST, Islamabad, and I did that in electrical engineering. So basically, I graduated in 2020, which was the peak COVID time. And immediately after graduation, I started working in a company. And during that time, I was constantly applying for scholarships, but because I wanted to go abroad, but all of them were saying, no, you need to study online. So that was something that was pinging me that, no, I need to go abroad. I need to go abroad. So I just kept on searching on different pages. I was searching out through Google that if any scholarship hits, let me just apply for it. I applied for multiple scholarships, but all of them were going for online. So in 2021, late 2021, I came across this scholarship on actually a Facebook page, which just posts a lot of scholarships. And I was just casually, scrolling through it, and I was like, okay, let's just apply to this one as well. And I was working at that time. But same as I think everyone feels, I was overwhelmed with the application process that, oh my God, you need to apply to the university and then you need to apply for this application. So that is where I got confused as well. Ke, oh, there is a separate application for this. But slowly I started navigating. So first I applied to Durham University. I checked out the programs. So that is the first thing that you do. You check out the universities and you list down the programs that are actually attractive to you. So, and you will find out that if two universities are offering the same uh, title of the course, for example, two universities are offering electronic engineering, let's say, they have a different set of course that they offer. So for Durham, what it was that it was electronics and electrical engineering, but there were three different paths I could take. So there was electronics focused path, there was a power engineering focused path, and there was a renewable energy focused path. So that is where I started to realize that I need to have a proper focus on what I actually want to study and then apply. And that is, I think, what basically reflected in my application as well, that I was very clear with what I want to study, what Durham University is offering me, what facilities they're giving me, and how I link that with my previous experience and my interests. So I think that is what attracts the university committee as well. When you're linking everything one by one, you're linking your skill set with their courses and how they can help polish those skill sets, right? So that is what makes you stand out as well from a huge pool of applicants. They're finding out who is actually capable of passing that course, who is actually capable of this scholarship, and they'll be leading women from the forefront. And I think that is what mainly is the highlight of this scholarship and this application as well. Um, yeah, I think that is most of the things that I needed to point out. For Durham University, the application process was quite simple. When I was applying for the course, they had need to going on that they have mentioned it within their application that you need to download the form from there, fill it, and then send it to a specific email. But some applications I've seen, you just have to download and fill the form and paste it within the application of the course. So there are two different pathways going on during my time. Yeah, I think that's most of the information. If I remember anything else, I'll add it on later, but I'll pass the floor to Ayesha and she can lead it.
Paula, would you like to say something in between? Or
You just need, yeah.
for some reason I can't hear Paula. Ayman,
Yeah,
can
I
you?
can't hear it.
Oh,
No, I
yeah,
can't hear
sorry,
it
I
either.
was on mute. Yeah, so
Okay.
Aaron, thank you. I'm really glad you did not give up, even though you were feeling overwhelmed. But that is the most important part because any application that you write will be overwhelming from the beginning. So I'm very curious. Aisha, how was your experience?
So again, I would like to introduce myself. That I'm Ayesha Shafiq, and I'm a current Women in STEM scholar, and I'm studying at the University of Manchester. And the course that I'm pursuing is MSc Renewable Energy and Clean Technology. I just want to highlight one thing here, starting off, that my bachelor's was in environmental engineering, and again, I studied from NUST Islamabad. So if you do see that my bachelor's in environment and then my master's in renewable energy, it's they're quite different, right? So I'm highlighting the specific point here because again, it's how you present your application. It doesn't really matter what you've done in your bachelor's. If at this point in time you've realized that you want to do something different, then you can showcase your potential. You can talk about it in your application, exactly why you want to make a career switch, what courses or what professional experience is it that you have that makes you a suitable candidate. So in case anybody does have this doubt that, oh, I've done something else in my bachelor's, but somehow now the available programs for the scholarship do not exactly align with my bachelor's degree, then you don't have to worry at all. You can still apply for it, provided that you have done some online courses, some volunteering, some internship, or you can just demonstrate a very strong interest in that field, then you can definitely make that switch. For me, the linking thing was my job experience. I had already worked in a power utility company. I was working with the sustainability department. So that was my link of, connecting environmental engineering to the renewable energy sector. Apart from that, talking about the process, so I really got to know about the scholarship through a friend who had been on the same scholarship. She was basically in the same batch as Ayman. And when I saw that one of my previous classmates had applied, so that really encouraged me to apply. I think Ayman's cohort was the primary scholarship, and that's why not a lot of people know about it. I think this is the fourth year that the British Council has decided to launch the scholarship. Another important thing that I want to highlight here is that the British Council changes the universities, the participating universities each year. So the year that Eamon applied, the options were very different. And then the next year when I applied, the options were completely changed and they had also reduced. Right? So from 6 universities, now when I applied, there were only 3 universities that were participating. And another common mistake that a lot of people make during the application process, they pre-decide that, oh, since Aisha went to the University of Manchester, I'm also going to start looking at the University of Manchester. But the point is that this year, the University of Manchester is not even participating. So if you had done some previous research based seeing my experience, it would be completely null and void, right? So when the applications do open up, you need to see which universities are participating. And again, not all of the programs of that university would be eligible for the scholarship as well, right? Only a few selected programs are eligible. So you need to be very particular about and see it on the British Council's website. I'll also post a link here. And if you could also highlight the website here, you need to see the eligible programs and only then prepare your case accordingly and apply for the program. These 2 points I really wanted to highlight because I feel a lot of people make this mistake. Thirdly, the thing is that when I was applying, so the process was again very much similar because these scholarships are managed by the participating universities themselves. So what you do is you look through the eligible programs, you apply to the university directly. Once you have gotten your acceptance letter, then the University of Manchester emailed me a form for the scholarship. So only the eligible students who had already qualified their criteria, they were sending out that application form only to those specific students. So not everyone had access to it, right? This was the process that the University of Manchester opted for. And then it was a Google form and there were a specific set of questions I'll broadly talk about the areas that they were asking. They wanted to know about your previous experience, if you had any, why were you applying for this scholarship. I think this point is very important. You need to be very clear that what exactly is your objective with the scholarship, and what do you plan to what do you plan to achieve out of it, right? You really need to link it out with your experience and everything. Other than that, they wanted to know what will you do once you have completed the scholarship. How do you plan on using it in the future? How are you going to use it for the betterment of the community? And another important point is, how do you plan on using that knowledge and your experience in uplifting other women's experience, or how are you going to improve the lives of other women? So these are the points that you need to think about and keep in mind when applying for it. And apart from that, so when I submitted that form, contacted me. One more thing is that since the process, it depends on the university, some universities also ask for a video submission. They would want you to talk 2 to 3 minutes introducing yourself and that sort of a thing. So you can also expect a video interview with the university when you're applying through the process. I did not personally go through it, but somebody else I know, they definitely went through a process of a video interview as well. I hope I've covered a lot of ground. But if in case anybody has any questions.
You have covered everything almost. I'm really glad you simplify the process. One has to have an admission offer, and then the university shares the scholarship form with you. It is the same process with almost all universities, participating universities.
Yeah, it's almost same with all the universities. So the form is almost similar with every university as well. So there are generalized questions within the form. Just as Ayesha highlighted, that there are certain questions that the form has of why you're applying to the program. So as I mentioned earlier, you need to be very clear of what you actually want to achieve from this course and the scholarship. So you need to highlight why the scholarship can help you out, and they want to see strong women out of it. So, and when you link UK with your scholarship, so they're asking, why do you want to study this specific course? Why do you want to study in UK? And what can you do when you return back to your home country? How can you give back? So how I personally linked it was I highlighted SDGs as well, how I can highlight the Sustainable Development Goals in my application. So that is something attractive for UK universities as well, that you're highlighting the SDGs with their courses. And then you can also explain of how you're a leading woman in STEM. So you can highlight any extracurricular activities that you did in your university time. If you were leading any society, you can mention that. If you were a recipient of any scholarship, this I've also had an FAQ a lot of times, that if we had any scholarships or any financial assistance in our previous years, should we mention it or should we not? It actually goes as a positive point, that you're actually capable of getting a scholarship previously, and it was not because of a financial constraint, it was actually because you were a capable student previously. So you should definitely highlight it in your application if you were a high achieving student and you were any recipient of any scholarships or any awards, that you need to highlight all of those things, and especially mention your leadership abilities. Again and again we say this, mention your leadership abilities, because this scholarship is looking for women leaders. And this is a special highlight as well, that as Aisha mentioned already, we can't focus on this enough, that every year the universities change, so you can't focus on the programs from the last year. And even with the same universities, the programs change. That is also a special thing that you need to keep in mind. And apart from that, navigate towards the British Council Pakistan page or your own country's British Council page. This is very important, because if you navigate to a British Council page of some other country, they have different list of programs. So every country has their own universities that are highlighted. So for example, this year, Durham University is taking women from Mexico area. So British Council Mexico website has Durham University listed in it. So you need to be really careful on which website you're navigating. So it's British Council Pakistan for Pakistan, and you need to go to a proper link for that. So I think this year there are 5 universities that are running, Queen Mary, Anglia Ruskin, and Coventry. And there are 2 more that I'm forgetting. But yeah, University of Southampton is there. So yeah, you need to navigate properly. Some women make the mistake of not finding the right website, and they go and they're like, okay, this program is different from what Ayman was telling me, but then I have to make them navigate to the right website. And then yeah, this really needs to be highlighted over here.
Well, I'm really glad we have been talking about being on the correct website. I can tell you what happened last year. It was not my client, just a community member, and they were on the Indian British Council website. Now, British Council for India is obviously very different from Pakistan. Every country will have different objectives with the UK government. So what happened was, as a Pakistani applicant, she was on the Indian British Council website and she almost submitted an application to one university, even though it was not there in the Pakistani university. So she submitted and she got rejected. And my question to her was, the website itself will say इंडिया का IN आता है, पाकिस्तान का PK आता है. How do you not know that you are on the Pakistani side or not? It's very obvious. So I think just be on the British Council Pakistan side. They have the list of participating universities. Check out the program. And I really love how Aisha you said that your undergrad may have been in one major, but your master can be related. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. This is a very common frequently asked question because the list of the participating universities is very limited. We don't have much choice. And they keep changing. Sometimes it's very bad. Sometimes it's like not worth applying because the program doesn't meet our objective. But I got an Instagram query. They were asking, can we apply in a different program, even though our undergrad was different. So I'm glad that we can, by complementing how our profile and background and future goals connect with the program. What? Okay, I see we are getting some questions in the chat. If one of you want to take up a frequently asked question, there is talking about the content of the personal statement itself. Okay, I have to apologize. My internet is really bad today.
It's all right.
I'm so sorry that I my bad internet and I keep getting disconnected. So can one of you take up the questions about personal statements? I think people want to know what the question earlier we have covered that. But one question I had is community giving back. How is that exactly supposed to be responded to? Because one is the question about career plan, what do you plan to do after your master's? But the other question is like the community giving back. Is that also a question in the scholarship form?
Yes, it's not
Yes.
exactly giving back, but how you what your study and career goals are for the next 2 or 3 years, and
Okay,
how do you
okay,
feel
got
this
it.
scholarship would support these goals? Yeah.
Okay, okay. So do you think will any of you recommend that we take a personal approach to that as well?
It's a generalized, I took a very generalized approach to that. So because I already had a working experience, I linked that, I was basically able to link that with the course that I was doing. And then what you basically do is, as I mentioned earlier, that I linked it with the SDGs as well.
Yeah,
So I highlighted that I want to work in certain SDG areas. So I was focusing towards education and technology. So I linked the education and technology perspective in my application, and that is what I added as my future career goals as well. I mean, you just need to justify and highlight how you're linking everything in. So even if your course is not related, you need to, make a whole picture, and you just justifying to the committee that you're doing the course because you know what you want to do in the future. So they need to be sure. So that is with every scholarship that you're applying to. They ask you, what do you want? How do you see yourself in the next 4 to 5 years? And you need to justify that this course will help me learn more about a certain thing or a certain area that I want to work on in the future, and just highlight it in a generalized way. It doesn't need to be specific. You don't need to mention any specific company or specific place you will be working in. It needs to be very generalized. Personally, I did it in a very general way. If Aisha can add to it, that would be great as well.
yeah, got it, got it. Acha, would you like to add something here?
I think Ayman has pretty much covered most of the ground. It's really important how you justify it, because the university is paying you a lot of money for this experience, right? And as we know that each year there are a lot of
Yeah,
applicants. So they really need to know that if they are making this investment, it is a worthwhile cause, right? And that when you do go back, you will be somehow contributing to the towards the betterment, right? You are using this knowledge and this experience in order to uplift the community. You are giving back, for example, in terms of research, or even if you plan on working after having a job, maybe a corporate job. Even then they need to see that it's not just merely going to be a part of your life that just went by. You need to be an active member of the society in terms of bringing about some change. I saw a question talking about how many people are selected from Pakistan each year. It
mhm,
doesn't really matter, to be honest, because British Council has a lot of participating universities,
yeah,
right? So as long as you are directly focused on your program, what area you want to specialize in, it doesn't matter, because they don't see that, oh, 100 people applied from Pakistan, so only five of them are going to get the scholarship. It purely depends on the quality of your application. For example, the year that I was basically this year, the University of Manchester specifically, they we it's two people from Pakistan, right? And both of us are in the same course. If they wanted to bifurcate on the basis of your origin, they would not have picked two students from the same country for the same program. So it doesn't really matter. And another thing that I want to highlight is about your reference letters. Please, please, please be very picky. If you're picking your somebody from the faculty, or if you're having somebody from your job write a reference letter for you, do go through it. Do give them talking points, because they might not know you that well, right? So when you're applying, whatever your motivation letter is, and the reference letter, it all needs to be in a very good concoction, right? It has to be a blend of exactly who you are as a person. There cannot be discrepancies. Your professor cannot be writing something else, right? And your motivation, or the essay that you write, that it can't be two different, completely different things. So please be very mindful of that as well.
Well, thank you, Ayman and Asha. The reference letters, yes, definitely give them some kind of reminder how they have known you, what kind of courses did you take up, what was your academic aptitude like, did you take up any extracurricular, anything that would add value to your application. Remember, I think this is for everyone. Remember, the key word of this program is potential to be a strong STEM-based leader in your respective home country. And STEM-based is science, technology, engineering, and math. Maybe your program that you find is very interdisciplinary, so it is possible that you will have multiple interests probably. Like you are probably connecting science and technology both in your future plan because you work at the intersection of both these areas. So be mindful about how you communicate your future plan because your community needs you when you return to your home country. They definitely need you. They need you to advocate for more science-based community projects in your home country, in your community, or it could be advocating for more women scholarships because we don't have enough of them. And if we do, then we probably need to get the word out that our future depends on our program. So doing program research is very helpful. Essentially go over the website, read the curriculum, the different modules, what is your program offering in terms of internships and placement, what is your final year project going to be like, what the professors in your program, deep dive, really deep dive people. Okay, Nagat, if you are here, can you unmute yourself and ask your question live here? Nagat, if you can hear me. I think her question was, okay, she's saying my connection is very poor. It's all right. I can just repeat your question here. Nagat is saying that she has worked as a venue staff invigilator for British Council Pakistan, and she's currently a team leader in this firm. But STEM majors are majorly focusing on sustainable development goals. I have network and cybersecurity background as an engineer, and she's wondering how she can connect all these points. Maybe Ayman, if you can add some examples for her.
Yeah, I think that is a very perfect blend for the scholarship of being. She's mentioned that she's a team leader in the firm, that automatically highlights that she has the leadership capabilities. And STEM majors are most okay, and she's working in network and cybersecurity background. Okay, so I think for this year running, she will be mostly focusing towards programs that are highlighting towards data science or somewhere around cybersecurity. And I feel that when you link the SDGs, what you're gonna do is you're gonna link or focus towards the technology focused sustainable development goals, and just go through the modules that the university is offering that you really want to apply in, and link some modules in your application. So for example, for me it was the electronics course, so for her it could be some course in the data sciences that is focusing towards cybersecurity or somewhere around those lines. It doesn't need to be perfectly matched. You just need to just make a sense of how you're making everything in a whole. So you not necessarily link them to SDGs, it's not at all necessary. you just need to make sense of your entire application. So there needs to be a flow of why you're applying. So you highlight your abilities. So your soft skills come in, and then your technological skills come in, or your hard skills come in. So she can highlight her leadership skills, what I'm seeing, and that is a perfect. For STEM majors, yeah, just link everything, how your leadership with your technology background, with your cybersecurity background, and your experience. So I think this is a perfect blend when you're applying for this scholarship. Just focus on the right course that you're applying to, and just link everything. It does not necessarily need to be with SDGs, but if your course is offering any such course, so there are extra courses that universities offer as well that are focusing towards SDGs. Just focus on which SDG it is highlighting, and just link it with that. So I think that answers the question she
Yes,
has
it
asked.
does.
If
Yes,
not, she
it does.
can ask again.
Any other question we have next? Okay, we're talking about the English language testing IELTS it is for. At what time will you recommend submitting the IELTS for?
So with IELTS, the universities are pretty flexible. I had basically given my IELTS back in November and December, somewhere around that time, before I had submitted my application. And since I had already gotten my results well beforehand, so I submitted it directly with the application. However, there are scholars with me at the University of Manchester who basically gave their IELTS way late. Like it was somewhere around after we were applying for, perhaps for a visa, or like super late. So even that is perfectly fine as well, because IELTS is like the last part of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. But if you are also targeting other universities, other scholarships,
Right.
then I think it's best if you apply it early on and do not wait till the last minute.
Yeah. Because at the last minute you have so many things going on, and probably if you don't get an admission offer, which is very unlikely though, if you have a good enough profile, do expect that you will get an admission offer, because UK universities, especially the participating university, they will probably give you an admission offer because it's easier getting into them. So you can it's easier getting into them. And I think one of you mentioned that you received multiple scholarships from different universities. I remember, was it you, Ayman?
Yeah, it was me.
Wow, tell us about that.
Yeah, because I was applying to multiple scholarships at that time, because I was just focused towards applying towards different scholarships. So I had the option to go to different countries, but I chose this specific scholarship because this is actually a very fully funded scholarship, that I call it, because your IELTS gets refunded. Whatever you're paying for your IELTS, just keep your receipts. That is very important, that I wanted to highlight as well. Keep your receipts for everything that you pay for. So your visa gets paid back, all the payment that you're making towards your visa, and your health insurance, that gets paid back once you have an account in UK. So it takes around a month to get your bank account created in UK. And once that is done, you get all of your payments back, including your IELTS. So, and the stipend this scholarship gives is also enough for you to actually live a good life in UK, and also travel as well. So you are able to travel in UK, and that is the highlight of our scholarship tenure as well. We were able to travel in
Yeah.
UK, and we were able to live perfectly well as well. For dependents over here, I would like to highlight that people who have dependents, British Council does sponsor their child as well, and they do get a good living space as well. So a scholar with me, she had a dependent, and they actually got a whole apartment to their family, and British
Oh,
Council
that
was
is
sponsoring them.
amazing.
Yeah, and their child was offered daycare facility as well. So British Council was covering all of that. So if you're applying, if you want to apply for a scholarship that does sponsor your child as well, I think this is the perfect scholarship you need to be looking into.
Oh, that is amazing. That is amazing. I think my understanding is that if someone is awarded a fully funded government level scholarship like British Council or Chevening, then you might be allowed to bring your dependents with you, even though the UK Home Office changed their policies about dependents from this year, January onward. So Aisha, Ayman, and I were just discussing that if the dependent policy is now in effect, does it affect the scholars that are incoming now? Because my understanding is that their policy will not be affected. What do you think, Aisha?
So yes, now the rules have definitely changed, and students who are, self-sponsoring themselves, previously they could bring independence with them, but going forward, it has changed, and students are no longer allowed to bring dependence. But for women in STEM scholars, this condition does not change because the UK government has stated that if you are on a fully funded scholarship and you can prove that you have enough funds and that the university is sponsoring you, then you can bring dependents. So the scholars will not get affected with this.
Yeah. That is my understanding, and Ayman agrees as well. Okay, we have a question. Can we apply for STEM scholarship if we already have an MS degree, one master, and thinking of another master?
Yeah, I think in such a scenario, you need to be very clear on why you want to pursue a second master's, because this gets highlighted in your application, and because they are funding a certain amount of people in a university. So, for example, I think one university may be allowed to select 5 or 6 scholars at a certain time period. So you need to be very careful what you're highlighting there, and why you're doing your second degree. So you may have a good leadership qualities, you may have a different course that you want to pursue, but you need to be very clear on your goals, and you need to link it with your future goals. Why you want to pursue this course, how this scholarship can help you, how the UK university you're applying to can help you in achieving those goals, and how the courses that the university is offering can help you. So it's not impossible, but you need to be very, very clear on your own, on what you're writing in your application. So for this scholarship, the application is the main document that you should be focusing on. That basically is a win or lose deal. What you're highlighting within those specified word limits. So for me, there was a word limit, but I think for some universities, there is no word limit. So you need to be very clear on how you're writing things, how you're conveying things, and what makes you stand out. So what I tell when I'm guiding women, what I tell them is, imagine that you're in a TED talk and you're just telling the audience that what makes you stand out from the entire crowd. And that is what the committee is seeing as well, what is making you stand out from the crowd. So just highlight what is making you stand out and what can make you stand out in your second degree for the masters. And yeah, I think you should definitely try for it.
But I will just add one more thing here. It's called justifying. Justification for a second master. It can be difficult or easy depending on the major or specialization you are going for. For example, I have seen scholars they take up a first master in the same major for which they did the undergrad in. Like I saw you're almost well like this, right? You had an environmental engineering and you are going for renewable energy is related, but it's also higher level. It's more specialized in a very specialized kind of course. It's not offered everywhere in the world, and the curriculum probably talk about clean energy, technology, and all that. So anyone going for a second master, I had asked this question back in the chat that it depends what was your first master major or discipline about. What did you not really cover in your master for which you are now relying on a second master? Because there has to be a gap. There has to be a fundamental gap that you need to fulfill academically, and also it will significantly elevate your career goal down the lane. If you don't have that second master or specialization, it will make you differentiate as a future leader in the field that you are in. So if it's going to add new value, new depth, then apply for a second master. But if it's almost the same thing that you have done already or doing right now, then it's not worth applying. Maybe you need to really mentally justify why you are going for a second master. Okay, we keep coming back to the question of IELTS again. The minimum requirement for a university is 6.5, but they have overall 6. Will they submit or not? And if they have to submit, do they have a chance to re-attempt, etc.? Aisha, can you respond to that, please? I think the question was
Yes,
from
I
Rabia. Yeah.
Yeah, I have 6 and my relevant unit required 6.5. Should I submit? Is there any problem? Well, since the university has already stated that they require a 6.5 and you are at a 6, so you do not meet the threshold, I would suggest not submitting it and perhaps making another attempt at it, improving your score, and then going for it. Because if there was like a if they had left it to you and if there was like an open choice, only then perhaps. But if it is very clearly stated, anything, not just with IELTS, if there's anything else as well that the university has very clearly stated in their requirements, and you do not, you're short on the criteria, then I don't think there's any point in applying. You should perhaps focus more on your application, improve it first, and then apply. And do not take this chance, because if you do get rejected, then next year as well you might have to justify as well that you're applying again, what was the reason of that. And I think it's also a personal thing as well, that you get disheartened once you've been rejected, and it takes more courage to apply next year. So
Yeah.
I would say that getting it right the first time would probably be a better idea.
Exactly, yes. Like mentally preparing yourself that you are not going to be immediately rejected because your application fell short by a point or something. But also think about it. If someone has a 6 overall, that means one of the individual score might have been 5 or 5.5. So 5 and 5.5 is categorically, technically quite low for most of the UK program international English language requirements. The 5 or 5.5 would give them that impression that you are not proficient enough to take up that international UK master. So you don't want to give them that impression. So I would suggest that if there is a possibility to retake IELTS by 7 up or retaking, aim to get at least 6.5 overall, because 6.5 overall is a very good requirement to fulfill not just UK programs but also US and Canadian and European programs as well. Just like mentally diversifying your applications in this coming year. Okay, it is necessary to go back home country after degree completion. If someone gets a job there, what will be the condition? Well, guys, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but you do have to return. The primary thing is you should not be applying for this scholarship if you don't have plan to return. Because if your mind and heart is somewhere else and you are not planning to contribute to your home country, then your application will not be very strong because you are divided internally. Right? Because I remember when I was applying for Fulbright, I did not want to, but I did not have many options for fully funded scholarship. If it's fully covered, it's fully funded, I will have that peace of mind that as long as I am getting my master, my career and my future will look much better. And at least I'm getting that international experience with this full peace of mind that I deserve to be fully funded. So if I have to return and play some role in my home country, I will do that, no matter what the circumstances is, because it's just temporary from here onwards. Once your requirement is complete, you can be anywhere else in the world. No one is stopping you. You feel free to get married, feel free to have children, feel free to launch your consultancy, anything. It's not the end of the world. That's what I say. Even though the political climate is very volatile, but we are all in this together. But you do have lots of options apart from this fully funded opportunity. But the way I and these scholars think that this scholarship is very generous, and they are now in the fourth year, so they are not going to end the funding anytime soon. It's going to get better and better. Hopefully, yeah. Okay, I think we have few more minutes left, and we can take up a last question here. Rumesha asked that she's applying for an MSc in Global Health and Policy. She has a background with an undergrad in public health, and she has been advocating for breast cancer awareness, COVID, oxygen supply, internships, and she's asking how she can connect all things. I think this is a pretty straightforward question, and we have already talked about it. That talk about your most relevant and significant experience. But one thing I would add here is it's not just enough to tell them what you have done. Try to also give them examples with evidence. How do you do those things? Give them some kind of example. If you took up an internship, what was the impact of that internship? What did you do during your internship that added value to your career or help you get a full-time employment? Try to connect that way rather than just telling them what you have done so far. Okay, we are taking last question from Anija, and if one of you want to take it up, please feel free. What should be the arrangement of paragraphs in personal statement, and what should be the start line like? Well, that is totally on you. I will start with a very common quotation or Nelson Mandela quote: "Education can change the world." No crap like this, please. I mean, you don't have to worry about the introduction line or anything. Just be very honest who you are and why you are applying for this program. What does it mean to you? I think this is very personal to you why you are applying for this scholarship. And if you have been, for example, if you are a public health advocate, maybe you can start with how do you start doing the advocacy for public health? Give some kind of background context, maybe, because you do have to respond to the individual question prompt first. This personal statement is not a blank document. You are given question prompts. So you have to respond to each of the question prompts. They differ from each other. So when you have to think about what do I respond, how do I start with, you start with the question prompt. All right, I think we have covered most of this. Any final recommendations? And when would you like to share any final recommendations, please?
Yeah, one thing I would like to add to this is that please don't use and copy from ChatGPT or any other software, because the committee immediately knows that this is AI generated text. So you can use it to actually improve your text that you've written or get some ideas from that text, but don't copy from any application on the internet or anywhere that is AI generated, because that would actually remove the uniqueness from your application. And the committee already knows this is AI generated. Even people like me, when I read a text, I know this is AI generated text that they've written. So just be unique, be yourself. And this is what actually attracts your application as well, that what you've written is actually unique and what you've written is by yourself. So just focus on it. Don't actually stress too much about on how you're starting, on how you're ending. Just be real in it and just write with the flow, that you're actually talking to someone and telling someone what your qualities are, what attracts you towards this course. Just, it's a conversation that you're having with a committee. You're sending them a document and you're actually having a conversation with the committee. You're telling them who I am as a person, what I've done in my life, what impacts I have in my career, etc. So that is how you should be writing your application. Aisha, if you would like to add anything to this.
Yeah, I think that you've summed it up very nicely that you have to be unique. It's about your own experience, who you are as a person, and the committee wants to know you. So there can't be any right or wrong on how you're starting, right? It doesn't matter if the first line, if Eamon and I talk about, oh, this is the perfect line, and everybody starts using it, then there's no point of it, because that might define me
Yeah.
or that might define Eamon, that won't define you. And other than that, best of luck to everybody who's applying. It's very important that you see the deadlines, and very important that you apply before the deadline, right? And make sure that all of your documents are in order before you're applying. Make sure you're uploading the right thing at the right space. Be very vigilant, because sometimes we make
Yeah.
very small mistakes which can have a huge impact on our application. One last thing is that somebody said that how exactly should be the order of our paragraphs in our motivation letter. It's not one complete answer. There are different prompts, as Paula mentioned as well, and you need to answer the right thing at the right place. That's all there is to the process. Again, best of luck, and we're here if anybody needs any help with the process.
Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate, even though Roja bahut lag raha hai, but this is very helpful. I think I have one more question, but I will hold on because someone asked, do we need to submit all the documents right away with the application? And I said, yes, you do that. Or maybe you have the timeline for submitting some part of the document later. If you can just quickly tell what document you can submit later.
I think the IELTS, as I've mentioned already, you can submit that later. But again, it depends on your university requirements. They would be very clear in what documents you need to submit right away and which ones you can submit later.
Okay, but all other documents you need to submit with the university application.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Well, I think everyone is happy today. So this will be recorded and uploaded in Scholar. And thank you, Aisha. Good luck with your rest of the semester. Don't feel sad. I promise you, Pakistan is not that bad.
Thank
You
you.
will get this culture shock, no doubt about that. But you have changed, people change, and I think Ayman will understand. She's feeling quite emotional right now, but it gets better. I promise you. Your community improves because you think I deserve to be surrounded by women leaders in my community. You make your own tribe, and then you ditch all those people who do not vibe with you anymore. You find your own community here. That's what I've been doing, and that keeps me going as well. I mean, my family, we are all women family members here, so you can imagine the chaos I feel every day.